Hey there, we have like eons of stories to tell, so if you want to follow us along on this journey and keep up with all the stories that we have putting out, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hope you enjoy. Thank you. Hey, what is up, everybody? Chad is here, and today I'm kind of sick, so like if I start like sounding all weird and stuff, that's probably why. I'm gonna just try to like make this video as good as I can though, but just keep that in mind. I ain't feeling too good. Voice might start acting up, and might hit some voice cracks and stuff like that. But today we're going back into World War Hulk, right? So World War Hulk. When we last left off, the Hulk, he had just taken Reed Richards. He took out Black Panther, Storm, the Fantastic Four, all those different guys. He just took all of them out, no problem. Alright, so now we'll pick up here. There's General Thunderbolt Ross. He just rolled his tanks and all that stuff up to the Hulk, at the end of the last video. And basically he's going to try to, fight against the Hulk, with his military and stuff like that, right? So this entire time, right, he's just talking. He's just talking about, like how the Hulk's life has been. Him saving a bunch of people, everybody, cheering him on, like, oh yeah, the Hulk, he's a hero, stuff like that. And like months later, he just starts like freaking out, and everyone's just like talking bad about him. They see him as a threat, stuff like that. Basically saying like it's a back and forth with the Hulk, right? One day he'll be a hero, the next day, everybody's against him. Everyone sees him as a monster, stuff like that. And eventually he's like, I mean, yeah, like they want to try to convince me that he's a hero. No, that guy's a monster. And he just starts setting fire upon the Hulk, right? All the tanks, all the military forces that he has, they just start like laying into the Hulk, right? And this right here, this leaves like an opening for Doctor Strange, right? Because last video, Doctor Strange, he tried to go into his mind, but he couldn't do it because the Hulk wouldn't let him in. Now the Hulk is defenseless. He's not able to push Doctor Strange back out, right? So Doctor Strange, he shows up in the mind of Hulk, right? He shows up in the mind of Hulk, and basically like what this is, right? He's like inside the mindscape of Hulk, but the Hulk, he's like fighting Doctor Strange like out like in his mind, but his body outside of his mind is doing the same thing, right? It's basically like he's on another plane, something like that. Like everyone on the normal Earth can see him, but he's still doing the same thing that he's doing in his mind, right? He's like choking, he's like holding Doctor Strange up by his shirt, stuff like that. And basically from there, Doctor Strange, he just like loses it. He's like, okay, I am the Sorcerer Supreme, Hulk. Okay, if I wanted to like snuff you out, I would do that, all right? But I'm your friend, okay? So I'm not gonna do that. I could take you out, like that. Like it would not be a problem for me. But I'm not gonna do that, right? Because I know that you're not, you're not yourself, right? This isn't what Bruce does, right? So he ends up like talking the Hulk down, right? He's like starts asking the Hulk. He's like, okay, Hulk, like talk to me, man. Like what's going on? Like are you okay? Like just talk to me, okay? And Hulk, he lets his guard down, right? He turns back to Bruce Banner and he starts telling Doctor Strange about all this different stuff. I had this wife, right? I had a family coming. I was about to have kids, but that all got taken away from me. 1 second I had everything, the next second I had nothing. All right, everything got taken away from him, right? And like Doctor Strange, he like he lets his guard down, right? And he goes back into like his physical form inside the mind of the Hulk. And like he's like, like I got you, Hulk. I got you, Bruce. All right, just chill out. All right, you're my friend. We got you, okay? And the Hulk, he's just like looks up. He grabs the hand of Doctor Strange. He's like, yeah, and I got you, boy. And he like goes back into the Hulk and just crushes the hands of Doctor Strange, right? So now Doctor Strange, he's only half powered, okay? Literally, only spells he can use are the ones that he has to speak. He can't use his hands to like do some weird, like magical symbols and stuff like that and just cast spells, right? So he can't do all that, right? So he's weakened like severely at this point, right? So the Hulk, he goes back into the real world, right? He leaves the mind of himself, and he goes back into the real world, right? So this is where we get the Sentry, right? Okay, so even the president of the United States himself is like asking the Sentry for help. He's like, okay, Sentry, we need you. Come on, man. And one of these guys is like telling the president, he's like, okay, yeah, he's an agoraphobe, okay? You can't just, he's kind of scared to, just like let out, right? Stuff like that. And like the president, he's just still begging the Sentry to come on out, right? So the Hulk, right? He ends up like going to this arena. He goes to this arena, and he was basically like having Madison Square Garden turned into a gladiatorial arena, right? That's basically what was going on like on the side, like while he's going through just like destroying all these people, right? Stuff like that, getting the Illuminati, Black Bolt, Iron Man, Reed Richards. He's basically gonna have them like fight each other inside this arena, right? The same way that he was doing on Sakaar on Planet Hulk, right? During Planet Hulk. And eventually this is where Doctor Strange like summons Zom. Now Zom is a beast, okay? Zom If you think like Dormammu and Nightmare and all those guys are strong, no. Zom is a different kind of monster. Literally, Zom could not be stopped by anybody except for the Living Tribunal himself, right? The Living Tribunal, like, he's literally the only person who can get rid of Zom. And that was like the Living Tribunal's, like, I think first time showing up. You know, he was getting ready to destroy the Earth because, you know, he sees Earth as like this place of just like absolute evil, you know, stuff like that. And Doctor Strange had to convince him not to. He had to convince him, you know, otherwise. This guy Zom is a beast, okay? If the only person who could take you out is the Living Tribunal, you're doing something right, okay? So he channels the power of Zom, but it's not the entire power of Zom. If it was the entire power of Zom, you know, Doctor Strange would like lose his mind. You know, he'd just be like just instantly corrupted. And, you know, that's just overkill at that point. All right, you don't need all that power to just take out the Hulk. Okay, so this is where Doctor Strange, right? He's channeling the power of Zom, right? He channels the power of Zom, and he goes up to the arena. He goes up to the arena, and he just starts crushing every single one of the Hulk's men. All his entire Warbound get dismantled instantly, and the Hulk himself tries to jump in and, like, you know, like go and do his thing. He gets taken out real quick, like Strange Zom. He just like punches Hulk one real good time and like kicks him through this building. So when he kicks him through this building, right? He kicks him through this building, and he's basically trying to like protect these people, right? The Hulk, he's trying to protect these people because the building comes like tumbling down on top of him, and there's these people like under all the rubble, and Hulk just like protects him from it, right? So when Strange, you know, he's like, oh, I wasn't trying to do that, you know, he's basically like, you know, losing himself, you know, in the corruption of, you know, Zom, right? So Strange, right? He's like going over there. He's like, oh snap, I ain't trying to do that, you know, stuff like that. And Hulk's like, yeah, that anger is like, you know, getting to you, ain't it? Here, let me show you some stuff. And he like starts taking Doctor Strange down. He like starts crushing Doctor Strange. Like Doctor Strange, he was holding his own for a bit, but at this point, no, Hulk is letting him have it, right? So after all that, right, he takes Doctor Strange. He takes Doctor Strange to this arena, and like this is where we get like, you know, the way that all the people see the heroes, right? So you got all these people seeing the heroes, and they're basically talking about how, well, like what the stuff that the heroes are doing, right? You know, ever since Civil War, you know, having Goliath killed, because one of these guys is the nephew of Bill Foster. You know, Goliath, the guy that died to the clone that Tony Stark and Hank Pym and Reed Richards, all those different guys made. This one of these guys is the nephew of him, and, you know, they're basically just talking. They're just like, yeah, like these guys had my uncle killed, you know. One of these people are talking about, you know, yeah, like this guy had my cousin killed, you know, stuff like that. All this different stuff, and basically just letting all of it be known to like the general public, like what these heroes have been doing, you know, some of the shady tactics that they even have, you know, like some of their antics, you know, stuff like that. And eventually, this is where the Hulk, right? The Hulk, he's basically going to make them, you know, like see the stuff that he had to go through on the planet Sakaar, right? So he has like Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Reed Richards. He has all of them, and basically he's like having them fight these monsters. So he lets out one of the monsters that he had to fight like on Sakaar, and they end up like fighting against it. You know, they end up defeating that monster, but then right after that he says, okay, yeah, y'all might have killed that, but the next thing they had me do was kill some of my, you know, like my teammates, right? You know, they had all of them fighting against each other until there were like 12 left, right? So he has them fighting against each other, and this is the like literally the problem was going on, right? So like this is like showing like the actual like kind of threat that we're talking about here, right? So like these guys, they're fighting, right? And eventually like Sentry, he's just like standing there. He's like standing there and looking, and he's basically like, you know, recalling like the stuff that him and Tony Stark was saying, right? And the Sentry, he's just like, I mean, yeah, I can't go out there, bro. If I go out there, I might lose it again, you know, stuff like that. Releasing the Void, right? He's like, last time, yeah, like the Hulk, like the Void just like wrecked the Hulk, right? Like literally broke all his bones, you know. He was just getting tore up by the Sentry, right? You know, stuff like that. And basically, this is where he tells Tony Stark that he can't go. He has to stay there, right? This is why he never showed up after after Tony Stark and Reed Richards went to go get him. He never showed up after that. It was just Tony Stark himself, right? And he got beat up by the Hulk, right? So after that, right, Reed Richards and Tony Stark. So Tony Stark, what he does is he like hacks into like one of the Death's Head guard, right? He hacks into one of the guards, and basically he tries to use that to try to shoot the Hulk, right? And eventually after that, Eloy, the one of the Warbound, she uses the shock collars to like make Tony Stark shoot against like the other people, right? He's like, here, okay, you want to shoot at us with that? Here, use it against those guys, right? So Reed Richards, like, he takes Tony Stark down, right? And like when he's doing that, deal the killing blow, he's like, Tony Stark, for God's sake, defend yourself, bro, because I am going to kill you if you don't, you know. And he doesn't want to, he just has to, right? He's being forced to do this, right? That's the kind of threat that we're talking about here. Like these people are literally about to kill each other, you know. They're being literally forced to kill each other. That's what the Hulk is doing here, right? And all the people in the stands, they don't even care. They're just like, yep, kill them. They're demanding, like, they want blood. Like they want to see these heroes die. Like that is what kind of like threat that we're talking about at this point, right? So with that happening, the Sentry, he's just like looking, He's like watching it on the TV. He's just standing there. He's like standing there ominously, right? And he's just like, all right, well, Bruce, you hear that? It's time to play God. And the Sentry takes off to the arena. Like, he is booking it to the arena. This is where we're gonna get the Sentry and the Hulk's fight in the next video. Like, they're going to go at it. When I tell you it's one of the best fights in comics, it is amazing because they are fighting. They will fight so hard, literally to their last breaths. Like, that is the kind of fight that we're talking about here. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I will see y'all in the next one.